You're listening to The Kick on Longbox.FM. The Kick is for an adult audience. The Kick may contain certain material that may be unsuitable for sensitive ears. Listener discretion is advised.
Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Car ma vie, car mes joies, aujourd'hui.
News, politics, and discussion. This is The Kick.
What you say, what you say, what you say, what? Well, come like a boy!
Welcome to the fourth installment of The Kick on Longbox.FM, brought to you, of course, by Riley's Brewing
Thank you,
Thanks, Riley's.
and High Speed Rail, as we all know. I'm your host, Kevin Spencer. Thanks for joining us. With me, I've got Dowdy over here, working the chat rooms and such. He's going to be kind of in and out, but we all know Chris Dowdy for the guy that he is.
Thanks, man.
You got it. And, of course, Ben, insert last name here, my resident adversary.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you again.
How's it going, buddy?
Thanks for joining us. And we did just get a special guest flaunter on in here. Who is this, Dowdy? This woman.
This is the representative senior citizen.
All right, we're going to give it to that.
right.
We'll be nicer and say Debra Dowdy,
Mama
Mr.
Dowdy's
Dowdy's.
popping in when we need a voice.
That's it. Yeah, we originally had Vanna Vandal. I'm in her seat now, but she had some unforeseen comical circumstance. Not funny, but it had
Not
to do
funny,
with
haha.
no, but it had to do with stand-up comedy. So it is comical.
Apparently somebody wanted to lie down.
Oh, you should do stand-up.
I probably should. By the way, I've got to say real quick, Deborah, for the first time ever meeting you, you are much more beautiful than Vanna.
Oh,
So we're
well,
just gonna
thank you.
leave it there. I think we
Considering
found
my
a new fourth
advanced
host.
years, I take that well. Thank you.
He's a sweet guy, that man. Tonight, we're going to be talking probably about Brexit. I know that's been up in the news here in the last week or two, and all the excitingness that's going on with that. And we'll see if we can't curtail that into some lizard conspiracy people speak towards the end. Maybe if we have enough time. Please hit us up. Hit us up online in the chat box, longbox.fm, YouTubes. You can hit us up on Skype. That's the first time I've ever said that word. Longbox.fm, no dot in that one. Or please just give us a call, 559-492-05. That's not it. 0450.
Very good.
Yeah. That's also the first time I had to say that in like 5 years.
A little bit of host dyslexia there.
Little bit. It's difficult doing all the proper stuff. But I did it. Did I forget anything?
No, I think we're good, man.
Killer. All right. Ben, you've got some news stories for us. Let's hear what you got.
We got, actually, we got a couple of things.
I can't hear you at all because you're not talking into the microphone.
We have several things coming here. The first one is Hillary Clinton is, obviously nearing the convention next month, the Democratic convention next month, and has to effectively pick a running mate by the time that happens. And atop the short list of nominees, we have Elizabeth Warren,
Followed by Satan. Surprised he came in second.
And I guess my question on this is because here's the thing. Is it safe to say that if a country is ready to vote a woman into power, they're not going to bat an eyelid over two? If you are going to support Hillary Clinton, do you really care if her running mate is a female?
Double down. Go big or go home.
I don't think anybody cares anymore that it's a woman.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters a bit.
Well, and I think you're probably right. I mean, after voting in Obama in 2008, and you look at that whole situation, you go, look, hey, we voted in our first African-American president. I mean, next, if it wasn't female, it would be Mexican. And unfortunately, we're a country that's so damn divided over race and everything else. And so now we have to highlight on these things. We have to go, well, if it's not a black man, it's going to be a woman. And if it's not a woman, it's going to be a transgender person.
I don't think we're there yet.
2020.
Yeah, hindsight.
4 more years, yeah.
Hindsight. That is going to be the year of hindsight for us all.
It sure will.
Well, let's just move to where it doesn't matter. It's a person running
Canada?
for the office. And
She's right.
And yeah, that's where we want to get to.
Well, and
So
I agree.
let's go there. Let's go in that
I
direction.
agree. I mean, obviously, it's the most qualified person for the office,
Yes.
and I think right now we're just kind of picking between the lesser of the evils when it all comes down to it. Not to say that, I've got anything against Hillary Clinton because she's a female. I just think that there's too many things. If you look back in history, I mean, obviously, one thing that stands out is Benghazi, and Benghazi was just an absolute nightmare. The Democrats have released their own report on that ahead of the Republicans releasing their report, which is scheduled to come out at any minute. So now you have Hillary scrambling all over the place in a PR nightmare, trying to just sweep everything. And everything that is Benghazi is getting swept under the rug for as long as it can. And you've got 18 different people sitting on all edges of this rug trying to keep everything from spilling out until she perhaps gets nominated.
Yeah, all she needs is the nomination at that point.
Yeah.
You don't get a choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an advocate for not voting at all, but that's just because I'm nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and then,
people have asked me, what are you going to do? Who are you going to vote for, Tweedledum or Tweedledee?
Exactly.
And I tell people I take great comfort in the fact that I live in the Central Valley of California, and my vote for president has absolutely no impact whatsoever.
Amen.
Isn't that the truth?
Amen.
It's the
Amen.
absolute truth, yeah.
And
going blue.
we could tangent off that, and because I've met so many people who say, well, you know what, you should get out there and vote. It really matters. And honestly, I'm going to be one of the ones that say, you know what, the popular vote is just an exercise in busy work. It really is, because your state's already going to vote one way or the other.
Yep.
The Electoral College is already set. Your state representatives have already promised their vote to one party or another. Now, there is the exception that they could go against it and vote for the other side. But how often does that happen, and when's the last time that it did?
And if it does, they just re-vote.
Exactly.
It would honestly just change a rule.
Yeah.
And that's just what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I was having a conversation with somebody at one point, and they asked me, who do I vote for? Who would I choose to? And I said, I don't vote. And they thought I was nuts, obviously. And they asked, well, who do I want to win? And I said, it's not who I'm voting, who I think is going to win. I'm not betting on a pony. You're supposed to vote for the person who best represents you. If they don't put anybody out there who represents you, don't vote for them. And don't fall for the, you have to vote for them, otherwise the other people win. How is it that Hillary and Trump have the same exact argument? I'm not the other person. That's what they're both. That's both of their campaigns are running on. I'm not that person. And nobody sees this.
Yeah.
That you can just choose not to pay attention.
It's two sides of the same coin trying to run away from each other, and they're just going to each follow each other down the same path.
They don't have a choice.
Country's got a cancer. We got to go through the chemo. I think the next 4 years minimum are just going to be chemotherapy.
Absolutely.
And we'll see what comes out on the other end.
And you know what? And here's the thing, and I kind of echo that same sentiment, because you think about the 8 years we had under Bush and how far we went into debt. The national deficit ballooned. I mean, kids were dying left and right when we sent everybody out to the Middle East. And being one of those people who was sent out there, in 2004 or 2003 and 2004, and really watching the decline of a country who, at one point, we took over sometime post-World War II, and we said, look, we are in an age of Pax Americana. And I think that Pax Americana, I mean, it's just, for anybody that doesn't know out there, Pax Americana is just basically the country standing up and saying it basically holds central power over the world in a very rough sense of the word. But,
like, we own this shit. If you disagree, come and take it.
Yeah, we basically now make the rules for the boys' club, and everybody else has to comply. Otherwise, get the hell out.
Rome.
Yeah. And we took that over from Britain, and so it's like we took that, ballooned it to what it is, and I think that when the 2000s really came around, I think that we started to see that decline, because all of a sudden now you have the American forces getting spread out across the world. We're spreading our boys and our girls thin. We're taking innocent lives and we're putting them across the world. We're seeing the price of oil skyrocket. We're seeing the price of goods drop. I mean, there were good and bad aspects to the beginning of the millennium, but in an overall sense, I think for the Bush years, you've really watched the economy and social awareness, at least in some sense, I think it's dropped to points where we just don't care. We talked about it before. I think we're desensitized, and I think we're we're really at that end stage of, well, now here we are in 2016, and we've got asshole number 1 and asshole number 2 running for the next person for the next 4 years for this country.
Yeah, I can tell you that's not a coincidence or a mistake either.
Of course not.
It's very well.
When's the last time we didn't have those options?
Yeah, exactly. And Bush.
No, Mama Dowdy's here. She's got age, right? Have you ever felt confident about somebody you voted in that, like, beyond just part of your team, but you thought they were a good one?
I almost hate to say who I voted for in the past. Yes, and when I first started, the first president I voted for was Nixon. And I was 18 and walked into the booth not knowing what I was going to do. I mean, it was really...
You must not
I was
have
stupid.
known
I was
anything.
incredibly stupid. And even when all the stuff happened with Nixon, I was still very much into, well, he's our president.
Yeah.
He would never do it. And, after a while, it's like, okay, yeah. I also voted for Jimmy Carter at one point. That was a big mistake. But then again, that was a reaction to the previous Nixon, who was a crook. And now I wanted this honest, godly guy. Well, now I know a little more about him, too. But I felt good about those votes. But kind of, Reagan I liked. But other presidential things, it's been, can somebody give me a candidate I can, be enthusiastic about and maybe donate some money to and walk some precincts or something. And that hasn't,
been a blessing in disguise,
that hasn't been the case for a long time.
Can we get a candidate that can shine with the world of the mudslinging in the depth of...
No, they won't let him anywhere near the stage. Ron Paul got close-ish. Bernie Sanders is kind of the Democrats' Ron Paul, although they stand on very opposite platforms. But as far as the groundswell goes, they're very similar, and they squashed Bernie Sanders the exact same way they squashed Ron Paul. It's the two parties are exactly the same as far as strategies and who they need to get into charge. And one pushes their agenda, and then one pushes the other agenda, and it's both the same agenda. Both agendas lead towards more centralized government every single time, more regulation, more taxes. Every single time. There's not one political party that's been in charge since who was the last president they shot? JFK, who actually wanted to do anything different than just continue to grow government. So this is why you get Trump and you get Hillary, although Trump is a little bit different only because he's not paid for through the same venues that most Republican candidates are, and then of course the Democrats are either. So he's running on his own money, which means he can really piss off a lot of people. Ish is the right word, but he doesn't answer to the kingmakers, which are the media, who really decide who you're going to love or who you're going to hate. You ask anybody, what do you think about Trump? And unless they've actually listened to Trump, they hate him.
He's actually trumped media in that they've done everything they could to make him look bad, and it's actually working to his advantage, almost Kardashian-esque.
It's kind of you have to sit back in awe and really kind of appreciate the machine at work.
Yeah, except for who he is, but...
Yeah.
But
however...
it still took a lot of money for all that to happen. I don't know about you guys. Do you guys... For me, one of the big keys was when the Supreme Court said a corporation is a person and has the right to free speech. Do you guys know what decision I'm talking about?
Is it Citizens United?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you agree with me on that or disagree?
I think that a corporation should stand as an entity, but not as a person. I don't think a corporation run by a board of directors on any level or trustees or whatever it is. I don't think that when it's your rights as a person inherently stand to you and to you alone.
Yeah.
So for them to humanize a corporate entity, which is run by money and run by boards of directors and trustees who really are just fighting over the last penny that's sitting on the floor, I think there's too much long-standing horror that can go into you humanize a corporation, and now you're literally saying that this corporation has as much power and as much right as the average Tom, Dick, and Harry.
I think the big poison is the money in the politics. The lobbyists giving money, the unions giving money, the PACs giving money, the corporations giving money.
And that was the whole point.
They are buying the politicians and continuing the power. Yep. And that needs to end. In my mind, you shouldn't be able to donate to a politician unless you are a living, breathing human being with the ability to vote, and there should be like $1,000 limit, which means there's not going to be a lot of money donated to campaigns. They're going to have to come set up in the high school gym and talk to us.
Right.
and give up the expensive TV ads, which are lies in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that kind of crap.
And
we
if
need
they're
to
not lies on
totally
themselves.
change. Yeah.
Is it possible now then, for your pro-lifers out there, the aborted fetus has less rights than the corporation as far as being a human being and all
Well,
that?
it's not a person, but a corporation is.
Well, they say after, what is it? It's 13 weeks or 16 weeks? It absolutely is. I mean, just
Depending on who you talk to.
Just because it can't speak for itself, I mean, it doesn't make it less than a person.
The fetus?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can abort a fetus up till delivery. It's extraordinarily rare. It's very expensive, and there aren't many docs who will do it.
And
but
quite
it's
frowned
legal.
upon, actually.
Yes.
I'm sure,
yes.
yeah.
And I think most people would agree, yeah. At
that
some
fetus-
point. But we don't want to go off that direction.
The
do we?
fetus, though, it has less human rights when in this consideration than now we're giving a building, a piece of paper, an LLC.
According
A
to...
legally constructed entity. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we actually had something on that, didn't we?
Say again?
New story, your next bit.
Oh, the abortion? Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Kevin trying to come
So
in.
thank you for the segue.
Let's make some friends.
So the Supreme Court has ruled in Texas in a 5-3 vote to remove the abortion access law that basically would have closed nearly every single abortion clinic in the state of Texas and made it that much harder for women who wanted to rule over their own bodies and wanted to have that choice to abort a fetus at any given time. It would have made it that much harder. I mean, they're literally, out of the thousands that are available, there would have been maybe 10 left after they had. Sorry.
Words.
In my
Use them.
throat. Yes, yeah. So there would have been a handful left with the abortion access law, but now they've removed that, and so now you've got a bunch of women who are standing up going, yes, this is what we wanted all along. Now, obviously, it goes... I guess the question that I wanted to ask on this is, if you are that gung-ho, if you get pregnant, no matter what it is, and you just don't want the child, I mean, does it make that much of a difference that you have to drive 3 hours to an abortion clinic as opposed to driving 20 feet down the street? I mean, do we need an abortion clinic on every corner?
No.
No.
For me, I mean, I've never been faced with this, with having to come up with a decision for this. It's never been on my lap. So I am thankful for that. I think morally, abortion is wrong. I think that that having a child, let's just say, for the vast majority of the time, is a choice. Period. And so you are choosing whether or not, I mean, you chose to get drunk. I'm excluding rape here and so forth, but that's a very small percentage by itself. The rest of the time, it is a decision. And you don't have a right to destroy a life that's brewing inside of you.
Right, but and I guess the other side of it too, because I look at it from several different angles, and then so what happens with a woman's right to choose? I mean, if you were to take away all abortion clinics, and then now you had women who live in low poverty, they live in very, high profile poverty situations, and they start having kids that are born into poverty, born without the chances, born without the access. There's not enough money to go around. A woman just basically cannot make the decision for herself. And, if she decides to do what she's doing, obviously she's a terrible fucking human being on some level, because, yeah, you're just out there having sex unprotected, and now you're just aborting kids left and right. But, I mean, what happens to a woman's right to choose when the government says, hey, look, you had sex, deal with it, right? So now you're telling this woman to birth a child into the world, and especially in high crime, low income neighborhoods, that child may never get the adequate chance that it needs to become a successful member of society, especially if the mother has remained in a situation that she's in like that.
It's a mercy kill.
My response is, does a man have a right to choose to abort a child in a woman? So a woman has a right to choose to abort. Does the man who helped conceive that child have a right to choose to abort the child without the woman's consent?
Now, and I'll take this into a quick personal note and say that I was with a woman for 4 years, and she had 2 children, by 2 different guys, and never once crossed her mind to abort either one, even though both of the donors, as they were called, were donors. They weren't fathers, they weren't father figures, they weren't around, they didn't care, and they were donors.
Yeah.
And so she took the initiative and said, look, I'm going to make my life and their life as easy as I possibly can. She went to school. She got a good job. She's worked there for a long time. She gets promoted regularly. I mean, she makes more money. And she goes above and beyond. She is the mom, the dad.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Everything.
I'm sorry.
So,
speed it up.
But that's what I'm saying, is with that kind of a situation, you have to be ready to do everything you can for a child who basically isn't going to have a chance without you.
Yeah, the child did not have a choice to be conceived. There's no human that has a right to choose to end the life of another.
Right.
A child growing inside of a womb, I would say, is separate in its existence from the mother. There's a whole lot of science and stuff. We can get into battles forever. Government is a horrible moral compass, though. So just because the government said it's legal or not doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Morally, I feel that you don't have a right to initiate violence against another. A child growing within a womb is another, and you don't have a right to choose whether or not that child lives or dies. Again, I've never had to be put in that situation, thank God, but I might just be lucky.
The original story was about location of clinics, right?
Mm-hmm. I would imagine, I work in a hospital. The regulations on a hospital are incredible.
Few and far between.
I mean, the rules. My silliest story is one door we had at a nursing station that had to have a sign on it that said this is not an exit because that's what the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children said you had to have to prevent infant abductions. But the fire marshal said you had to have a sign on it that said this is an exit so you can escape in a fire. So for a while, a door had 2 signs. This is an exit and this is not an exit. Both parties were happy. Everybody was confused.
And it all made sense.
There are many, many regulations in a hospital. Now, in an abortion clinic, I don't know the specifics of what the Texas law was asking for. But there are certain standards medically that should be met. So I would be curious exactly what they were demanding. And if they were demanding the same kind of standards as you expect in an outpatient surgical place, like I had a little plastic surgery done a while ago, and I did it outside of a hospital, and they had a crash cart and the machines, and they were regulated and so on because they were doing surgical procedures and they were doing anesthesia, and you need certain levels of safety for that. Mm-hmm. Abortion clinics should do the same. Now, if that's what that law was asking for, was to meet the same standards as a surgical provider outside of a hospital, I think that's reasonable, and you need to do it to protect the women.
That's a good point.
By the way, I think one of the, and I'm sorry if I'm lost out here, I'm being sound boy. I think I saw some of this on John Oliver not too long ago. I'm a big fan, part of the inspiration for tonight's show, or the kick in general. He talked about the Texas law on abortion clinics, and some of this is kind of more that pro-life stronghold in their government there that is regulating and re-regulating and changing laws to make it really hard for abortion clinics to be there. And this is why people have to travel so far to do it.
Yeah.
And they're talking about you need to have gurney wide plus more in the hallway. So these clinics will go and redo their whole building, change their hallways, modify their rooms, heavy construction, and they'll come back and say, well, but you need to have this much more of on this door. And abortions isn't hospital.
But you have to be able to get a woman out on a gurney to an ambulance just in case. But yeah, if you're saying make your hall 4 feet wide and then they do it, and then you come back and say, no, make it 5 feet wide.
Like you keep moving the goalpost.
That's not right.
Yeah. That's legislative stonewalling.
That's just, and it's someone spending money, too, to keep going with that. The guy running that place is trying to help, well, depending on there are private.
Texas, actually. Yeah.
So, but you keep screwing the business over because you're trying to, instead of just saying outright, we're just banning it, They're manipulating the laws and using the laws as their heavy man to come in
and they're
beat you
doing
down.
it. They're doing it at the expense of these clinics and the taxpayers who put the money into these county programs, and at the same time, we're all sick and tired of spending the money and. So that you know, I mean, it was part of the main argument for those clinics and the access laws was that they were supposed to become more of a surgery center type environment.
Yeah.
And so that absolutely I agree with. I just think that when it comes down to it, like you said, I mean, these the government's going to say, well, you got to make it this much wider, you got to make it this much longer, you have to raise the bar, like you said, and just keep everything going.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get a lot of people who hate me on this, especially Mama Dowdy here, knowing her growing up with me. When it comes to abortion, when it comes to transgender, gay rights, all that, shut up. It's none of your damn business. My aborting my son, I mean, well, I guess it would affect you, Mom, if I ever told you I did this.
If you did, don't tell me.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
If I did it, it's my life, my choice, what I'm doing. Doesn't affect you. When I marry Ben later on down the road, sorry, Kevin, that's our decision. Nothing to affect you.
Absolutely.
And that's, I do stand on that if it really doesn't affect your life, then shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Definitely. You're speaking to every liberal on the planet.
Yeah.
But then again, there is that standpoint that I think everybody can agree on at some point. I mean, look, don't step on my side of the line. I won't step on yours. I mean, I know a lot of.
You're trying to be too down the middle here, Ben.
No. What I'm saying is because you mentioned liberal. I know a lot of conservatives who are like, I don't care. I would definitely never do it. Well, of course you wouldn't. But I don't care if they do it. Okay, so
Why don't you care?
How conservative are you?
So why don't you do it? Take that argument. You
Me
You yourself,
personally?
Ben, yeah.
not you personally, but I'm gonna say you're saying, I would never do that.
Because he's
But you
pro-choice.
go right ahead. Why would you never do that?
Because he's pro-choice.
Right.
His choice would
and
not.
I think that the biggest response I get, because I always have the term "live and let live." I mean, if you're doing your thing, if you're making your money, if you're
you
living your
misunderstand
life,
my question. Take the position you are a pro-life. You're a pro-choice. Excuse me. You're a pro-choice person,
certainly,
but you would say I personally would never get an abortion.
right?
Although you
But
agree
you
with
do
other
what you want.
people's.
Why would you personally, as a pro-choice person, say I would never get an
Yeah.
abortion?
Well, the reasons
Most
can
people would
can
say,
vary, and that's the thing is the reasons can vary. But the thing is, it's my body, and like Chris said, like it's a woman's right to choose, and
it's your
another
body,
woman.
but it's a separate little body inside
that's
of
the
yours.
issue.
That's a very special. That's for women to be able to bring life into the world is a very amazing thing. I have held a dying 14-week fetus in my hands until he passed away. I have handled full-term dead babies. I have handled dead fetuses that were a couple inches long. I have been through anatomy and physiology and pathophys, and the amazement of how the body comes together and functions. There's a bunch of bones in your head. We tend to think of our skull as being one bone, but it's actually multiple bones that grow
Floating.
together.
Yeah.
And that little bitty cell that starts off in the beginning that you can just barely see knows to make a bone in the middle of your head that is actually like a multi-winged butterfly. And it knows to put a hole through that wing here because there's a blood vessel that's going to have to run through that hole. And it knows to put a groove there because there's going to be a nerve that has to run along that groove. That little cell knows that. This structure that comes together, this little critter that's laying in my crib 9 months later that I'm taking care of, is a miracle. And to be able to participate in that is something special. So for somebody who says, well, I would never, I think it's murder. I wouldn't do that. But hey, if you want to murder, go right ahead.
Yeah.
It
There's a
doesn't make
disconnect in
logical
principle.
sense. And so these are one of these areas, I think, I'll grant rape, incest, to kind of have arguments for those two. But okay, I'll compromise on that.
But that's,
Again, you're right. Small
We're
numbers.
talking single-digit percentage.
That's
I see
their
patients
choice, though.
every day who have had so many abortions. This is just their birth control. Obviously, that's not everybody. That's really not even a fair thing for me to say. But Yeah, I feel sorry for the man whose woman in his life is killing his child.
Yeah.
And he has no say
And how many
in it.
times?
There's
does that
too
happen
many,
that they
though.
don't know?
This is okay. Obviously, Mom, Mom, as we're doing that on this show.
You're lucky to be here, kid.
I'm your pro-life. I agree with you. As I was young, as you were teaching me, obviously you were very, very heavy pro-life. As I've gotten older, then I've seen a lot of people. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who don't need to bring failure into this world.
Kill the kid. That solves the problem.
Well, I wish we could kill the parents, but that's not just an open thing. And you can't neuter people. You can't do that type of stuff.
So let's make opportunities for these kids.
Yeah.
The kids who are born into these less than ideal families of many, many different stripes. We talk about equal outcomes, equal opportunity. I don't believe in equal outcomes.
Hear, hear.
I don't believe even in equal opportunity. One of my greatest blessings, besides my white privilege, is that I was born to great parents. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the thing that made the biggest difference in my life.
Right.
Single parent
yes.
household is the number one determiner for
absolutely.
crime.
So if you got kids, I think the great equalizer in life is to start everybody out with a great education. That's where we need to spend our money. If this kid needs something extra special done, if Clovis Buchanan gets all new computers, so does Fresno High.
So you're saying that the child is going to benefit from socialist programs?
Oh, absolutely not.
I don't think education is a socialist program. That's an investment we all do to take care of each other. I still pay property taxes, and I don't have kids in school anymore.
Yeah, the way we
but
educate is socialist, but education itself is actually supposed to be pretty enlightening.
So meet the needs of every kid. Give every kid the same opportunity. Make school, after a certain point, a privilege. And if you don't behave yourself in school, you leave. Okay? If you don't graduate from high school, don't ever come see us for unemployment, welfare, EBT cards, any of that kind of stuff. Your job is to finish high school. And once you hit, junior high-ish, you don't behave yourself in school, you don't apply yourself in school, you aren't taking advantage of what the world is putting out there, what the taxpayers are putting out there for you, then okay, bye-bye. And then we give you 1 or 2 tries. If you come back a year later and go, oh, I screwed up really bad, can I come back? Yes, you can come back. Screw up again? Yes, you can come back. And we'll get you through high school. Get you a trade. Put
how many chances
back
though?
in the schools. Put home ec, put budgeting, put gardening, put workshop, put auto mechanics, all that kind of stuff back into school. Engage the kids. Give them all a great beginning. And when you graduate, you got it, kid. You're on your own. Go chew up the world. And if you want to sit on your ass, fine. Your choice.
Certainly.
Next one?
Yeah.
And
with that. Now that I've seen a little bit of the inside to the thinking behind my childhood.
Mm-hmm. And now we're going to explore the short-lived lives of 2 Texas girls as they were executed by their mother this past weekend. Let me just pull this
You just got the happiest news, Ben.
I know,
Downer.
and that's exactly why you have me on this show. So, a Texas woman out of Fulshire, Texas, she murdered her 2 children, Christy Sheets. She murdered her 2 children over the weekend. I believe it was Saturday night. And
she aborted them?
Huh?
She aborted them?
God.
She aborted them 17 and 22 years too late, respectively. So
Jesus.
that was a long decision. So, what started off as a family argument spilled out into the streets of their neighborhood, and she chased her girls out of the house, shot one on the street, chased another one partially down the street, shot the other one, as the husband it's a birthday celebration for him. Husband to apparently a mentally ill woman, and father to 2 beautiful, beautiful blonde girls. I mean, these are the epitome of Texas girls. They really, you see their pictures and you're like, God damn it. Like,
so was this a mentally ill mom, or was this out of control girls driving their mother crazy? Excuse. I haven't heard any of the details. Does anybody know the why?
Certainly no. And what's funny is because all of the eyewitness accounts, all of the neighborhood interviews, and everybody that basically has contributed to the story so far paints a picture that Christy Shears, the mother, the woman who shot her children, she was mentally ill, and she had a long-standing feud, rivalry with her husband. They were still married, but they were separated for a period of time, which is still undisclosed. I mean, some of the details are still coming out.
They were estranged, basically.
Right, they were estranged, and they recently came back together. She had moved out, and then she recently had moved back in. And as they still put together the details, really what we know is that, she chased her kids out of the house and executed them out on the front lawn, and the father watched. And just basically every neighbor that was interviewed for this particular incident said all he could hear was gunshots and the father, the husband, screaming, "Don't do it, please stop, please stop, please stop." And then that was it. And then she stood out there. It was a revolver that she used to gun down her children. And she was apparently all over Facebook. I mean, she's very pro-gun, and she would talk all sorts of shit about Obama and how Obama better not take away my guns, and would it be a shame if I couldn't protect my family with my firearms. And there was a meme that she put up, and it said, "I have 10 guns. Obama wants to take away 8. How many do I have left? Oh, yeah, that's right, 10. So, you think about a rhetoric like that, and it's like, okay, I'm all for pro-gun. Like, if you want to own Second Amendment, I'm all down for it. But I think that there is a pattern, and the police, I think it was the police chief or the vice chief, he was actually in an interview over the weekend, and he said that they've been dispatched to the house several times in the past over arguments that had kind of gotten out of hand. Neighbors had complained, and so you start to, it's still, within the first 48 hours of this all happening. But I mean, I think if you watch the news and keep up to date with the story, I think you're going to see a pattern of violence, or at least a pattern of instability, and you're really going to find 2 girls in a very unfortunate situation. And
going back to that abortion talk, wouldn't that have been a good candidate right there?
Absolutely.
I mean, she post-aborted him years later, but clearly this is a person who should not have been procreating.
If indeed she has a mental illness,
sounds like she's at least
wouldn't be my
hyper-aggressive.
first choice for a parent.
I don't know if I finished the thought. After the fact that she did it, she was standing in the street holding the revolver, and the police shot her and killed her.
Oh yeah.
So she's no trial, just straight. She's going wherever she's going.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
We don't treat mental illness well in this country. Look
at the VA.
It's it's an extreme challenge. Very expensive, very hard. I think there needs to be some moderation. In medicine, everybody always has the right to say no. No, I'm not going to have that surgery. No, I'm not going to have that chemo. No, I don't want that pill. Maybe the mentally ill should not have as much of that ability.
Well, I mean,
but that's a fine line.
It would come down to mental capacity, really. I mean, there's rights that obviously 5-year-olds have that we don't allow them because they don't have the capacity to understand the responsibility behind the right, like the right to own firearms. We don't give 5-year-olds guns because they literally don't have the capacity to understand the responsibility behind the firepower. And it would come down to the same thing with the the mentally ill. If you have somebody who isn't even aware of their own existence, like what
severe schizophrenia or something, is tough. Bipolar is tough. It's a struggle for families to live with that kind of stuff.
Right.
Very, very hard.
And dissociative identity disorder, or schizophrenia as it's now termed. I mean, you look at households that deal with that and the struggles they go through on a daily basis, whether it be the child or the parent. It's especially more tough when it's one of the parents. And you got a kid, 10, 12 years old growing up in that kind of environment, or we're just picking a kid at a certain age, but I mean him or her having to live in that environment for at least 18 years until they're old enough to move out. And it's like, what do you do when you come home and dad's not dad's Uncle Jimmy crack corn, and it's like, what do you say when you come home and dad or mom or whoever is a different person every 2 hours? How do you deal with that? What kind of treatments do we have for that kind of stuff now? I mean, what do we really do for
we
people
don't
that
have a lot.
Yeah.
And when you do have treatments, it's like, well, I've been taking my drugs for a while. I feel fine. I don't need this anymore. So they stop. And there's nothing to prevent them from stopping. So, that's the questions where you go back and say, why did he make babies with this woman? Why did he have guns in the house? Why didn't he get them out?
Right. Or at least lock them up.
Those kinds of questions.
Get them inaccessible.
Mentally ill people should be able to have lives, be as happy as they can be, and so on and so forth, but maybe parenting is not the best choice. But oh my gosh, you got to be Solomon to make those kinds of decisions.
Absolutely.
What you got next?
Actually, we're gonna kind of keep rolling with the depression here.
Good job.
I'm so sad.
Right, what's the next story, Ben?
And so it's just come to light over the past weekend, which has been part of a building investigation. Oakland police officer Brendan O'Brien, I don't know if anybody knows this, but he was an officer with the Oakland Police Department, and he committed suicide back in September of last year over basically depression, and he was having an affair with an underage prostitute at the time. Now she apparently is of age, but at the time when they met and began their affair, she was 17 years old.
Oops.
And the kicker is he was married. And so...
Double oops.
Yep. So now...
What is it with you men and your penises? Jiminy Christmas.
It's not up to us. Out of all the consequences, the horrible things that happen, it can't possibly be up to us.
I deal with all the consequences of my penis that has its own separate goddamn mind anyway.
Hey, hold on.
That's why it talks about it having a head. That's why you guys name it. You don't want a stranger making decisions.
If you have a lock that can be unlocked by any key, how good is your lock?
Huh?
No, sir.
That's a penis and vagina thing right there.
Oh,
you just said that to your mom.
Yeah, I know. How's that?
I'm not used to my son talking to me like this.
No.
Oh, my goodness.
You walked into the wrong house. You meant to go to the neighbor.
So underage prostitution.
So
wife.
Apparently this thing has spiraled out of control since September and since this investigation has been building, because now the Oakland Police Department has now gone through not one, not two, not three, but 4 police chiefs in the last, count them, 10 days.
Oh, goodness.
10 days.
Oh,
one as recently as a few days ago.
Wow.
So
and
4
each
police
one
chiefs.
gets lifetime medical benefits and a
Right.
big pension.
Absolutely.
I gotta be a police chief.
28 police officers involved in this allegation, which, by the way, it spans 5 different law enforcement agencies.
I'm sorry, a little lost. What are they?
Prostitution. They're all tied back to one.
Okay, so that the officer was involved with the prostitute, so that
Right.
reflects on the whole department.
Right. Well, no. They're all
part of a ring.
tied into it. They're all part of the ring.
Oh, they
had
were
all-
taking
at
part
one-
in it.
Yeah,
It's
at
like-
one time or another, they
like
had
if we
all
were-
had sex with this prostitute.
Oh,
It's terrible.
You said 28?
28 officers.
So according to
across 5
Cop
departments.
Math, their department has 28,000 officers because only 0.01% of officers are bad. I'm just doing the math real quick.
which PR firm did you read that from?
Theinternet.com.
The Google.
I excited it.
So apparently, I mean, the disturbing part of the story for me is when you look at how they met, because this officer Brendan O'Brien, and the prostitute, her name is Celeste Guap, or that's what she's known as on the streets.
Sounds hot.
They met because there was a pimp who was chasing this prostitute down the street, and this officer decides to go after the pimp and kind of pull her out of harm's way, and then puts her in the car, and instead of taking her in for prostitution, they had
sex. Yeah.
in the car.
Well, there were 2
Like,
options
hey,
at that point.
Yeah, hey, thank you.
See,
Yeah.
once again, it's not really up to us. It's just what the penis wants to do.
But
There's that other head. Use it.
Yep.
We're a locksmith for sadness.
We only have enough blood for one.
Yep.
Are we just all schizophrenic?
That's what right. Yeah, little Benny's thinking here a little too much.
Blood upstairs, man. Let's do this.
Right. So of course the prostitute released. She broke down she gave the breakdown of who was involved where from what officers. So it was 14 Oakland police officers, 5 Richmond police officers, several Alameda County Sheriff's deputies, a Livermore police officer, and a Contra Costa County Sheriff's deputy. That last one is a goddamn mouthful. So
you asked the prostitute.
You literally got them coming from all different sides. It's like, you know what? Yeah. Not one, not two, but 5 different law enforcement agencies, and every single one of them is scrambling to cover up again.
Corruptness in a police department.
Right?
Call the cops.
Are you,
right?
Like, I don't know. This is definitely strange for us here, but I believe there was that guy, Keith Foster. Mm-hmm. Fresno PD. Another corruption. Fresno PD.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ben, you got something on that, right?
Oh, I've got a little bit on that. So everybody is by now aware, if you are, alive, breathing, and have a pulse, and especially if you're here in the Fresno area, everybody heard about the officer-involved shooting of 19-year-old Clovis man Dylan Noble, who I keep referring to him as a man, and a lot of the reports do. For all intents and purposes, he's 19 years old. He's an adult. He's a man, but the guy was a kid.
Yeah. He's a millennial 13.
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off the most is because, you read up on this guy's story and all of the family accounts about this kid and how hours before he was gunned down, and just to clear it up, he was taken to the hospital and he died in surgery. So he wasn't shot dead on the sidewalk at the time, but he died in surgery. And the thing that pisses me off is this initially happened because sometime around 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, Fresno police got a call about a man walking around the Shields and Clinton area with a rifle. So of course they go after some guy who happens to, when they get into the area, happens to peel out of a parking lot and continue on down the road. Now, there is a mistake there where they said they flashed their lights and they followed him for another block until they finally caught up with him and got him to pull over outside the Chevron gas station. I think if the cop flashes you, whether you've done right or wrong, whether you're good or bad, you just pull over. Unless you got something to hide, like he just wanted to kind of taunt the cops a little bit. Or
you're an internet lawyer trying to just work it.
Apparently, he's got the Snapchat going in the rearview mirror, like, check these assholes out, right?
Waiting for the nightstick.
Exactly.
Wondering why they're getting beaten 5 minutes later.
Right.
Yeah, there's tact that is not in a lot of those videos.
Yeah. Well, and on the subject of the videos, too, they just, Jerry Dyer actually just came out today and said that at some point, when the investigation is finished, they'll release the cameras or the footage from the body cameras for the 2 officers that were involved. But until they do that, speculation is just wildly up in the air like a nuclear fallout.
Will it be properly redacted like the Orlando shooters?
I think it will be
that 911
photoshopped.
call?
I think it'll be photoshopped and chopped to all hell.
Made sure not to offend anybody.
No, see, you can't just release the video out there. It's sensational. It's awesome. We all want to see it, right. But you can't just put it out there. You got to do your just due, especially if the cop did something wrong. You cannot just throw him out there to be eaten by the wolves. But when everybody in the right now, I need to see it, and we all hate you, so we just assume you're wrong, cop. They're going to jump all over the fact that they hesitate for even a minute after the shooting. So it's got to be done right. You got to give him his just due. He's going to be on paid leave or something like that. Then it comes out in a court of law if it gets to the point where it shows that it needs to get there.
Yeah.
I think if they
investigation.
I think if they review it, they say, "Okay, you're clean. Let's put it out there so everybody can get off our asses."
Does the report go into what happened?
The report basically states that when they flashed their lights, when they saw him peel out of the parking lot, of course, they had no idea whether he had a weapon on him or not, but as soon as he peeled out of the parking lot, they followed him for approximately half a mile or a full city block, and then they got him to pull over at the Chevron gas station. Well, when he got out of the truck, he basically said something to the effect of, "I fucking hate my life," which, honestly, I don't care who you are. I've at least a couple times being pulled over for speeding or random other things. I've said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a natural response to seeing red and blue lights flashing in your rearview mirror. God damn it, here's another $300 that I don't have.
300?
Yeah.
That's before the court fees get added on.
But
yeah.
jaywalk?
And so, and then he got out of the truck, he makes this statement, and he has his hands in his pocket, and then immediately, for some reason, this is the other thing that doesn't really make sense, but nobody really knows. Witnesses were very few and far between at the time, but then they say that he reached for the small of his back. And fearing that he was going to pull a weapon out from the back of his pants, that's when they shot him. Now, one shot from a service revolver or a service pistol is going to put somebody on their ass. If you're a 19-year-old kid, unless you've been shot multiple times previously, you get the slug to your shoulder, a warning shot, an injury shot, that's going to put you on your ass. And you're going to stop. You're going to pull your hand out, and if you have a gun, then guess what? You're probably going to get shot again. But without even knowing, because he just put his hand behind his back, without knowing if he had a weapon or not, which it turns out later on that he didn't, not on his person or in his truck, they shot him 3 times. One officer shot him 3 times with his service pistol, and a second officer shot him with a shotgun. And we're talking from feet away.
Well, we talked about this with Karen when she was on 2 weeks ago. We were hanging out outside because she's an ex-sheriff's deputy, and finding out if there's, like I asked the question, when you hear a guy was shot 17 times and there was 168 rounds fired, how? She said just inexperience, fear, untrained.
Adrenaline.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think police are not taught to shoot once because you got a good chance of missing.
That's what she said. They're
And
taught to
so
unload the clip. They're taught to reload
you're gonna
the
shoot
clip.
multiple times. And I'm sorry if an officer thinks you're pulling a weapon, they got the right to defend themselves.
Absolutely.
We don't pay them enough to go out there and be cannon fodder.
No, we don't.
Maybe this needs to be part of that wonderful education I was talking about. You go to class to learn how to behave when you're pulled over by the cops.
Yeah,
this is how you stay alive.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like if that's the truth, that if they've got on video where he's reaching into his waistband, then I'm sorry, that's sad, but that was a dumb thing to do.
And all for the purposes of what, too, though? And my thing is this, and just...
Suicide by cop.
I guess, but I mean,
he's a pained...
Everybody,
he's a pained
everybody
teenager.
that he came across earlier in that day, I mean, everybody that was around him earlier that day, he said that his girlfriend's grandmother actually got interviewed and said, well, he was just at my house a couple hours ago trimming the branches on my trees. Yeah. And then he was leaving and he was going home. Like, he was just on his way home from trimming the trees at the girlfriend's. He's trying to put in some brownie points with his girlfriend by trimming grandma's branches. Okay, that's fine.
Sounds disgusting.
And that sounds like a guy. That sounds like a guy who's just so mentally derived or depraved and depressed that he's just going to want to die at the hands of a cop several hours later. I mean, there's just parts of the story that don't make sense, and I don't think anybody's going to really know anything until we see the footage.
Right.
Yeah.
If you see the footage, if they release it, if they ever release it, because these investigations, especially when it's officer involved, these investigations can take months.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So before we go to break, we got a new little flavor that Ben's going to throw us with this week.
I got it.
Oh,
Yay for me!
All right.
Well,
Somebody's got
this
something.
goes off of the last few weeks of stories I've been watching, and I decided I think we can do this as a week-to-week thing. It's amazing how it works. It's called This Week in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
So, with the music background coming from the movie 1984, this isn't a time warp here. We're going to find out news. The fantastic movie of 1984 was none of that.
It's a good movie.
In this world of changing history and being a truth changer, being that guy that's hired to just alter everything to hide your past.
Ministry of Truth.
Thank you. Exactly. Ministry of Truth. In her 1914 memoir, Hard Choices, Hillary Clinton expressed support for the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. Fast forward to now, apparently the paperback has been redone to eliminate her involvement in that. Now she's against it because that affects her current stance. So not just saying, I did something before, I changed my mind on it now. She's actually gone back and whitewashed her past by eliminating that. So she's reworked it.
Welcome, everybody.
Ministry of Truth. And you want to vote for that for 2016. Thank you, people.
Chocolate rations increased to 25 grams per week.
Ooh, Hershey?
Yeah.
I'm in.
Right?
Yeah.
Yay! And you just distracted from the truth.
Little 1984 distraction right there.
Is that your only thing for this week in 1984?
Oh, you got something else?
I do.
Oh.
But I want
Here
to
we
go
go.
last.
No, it's you. It's all you now. Go.
It's all me now? This week in 1984, I was getting pregnant with your baby sister.
Think about that as we go to break.
I like your mom already.
There's not enough to kill that
It's
one
okay,
tonight.
honey. I haven't had sex since. All right. Does that make you feel better?
Oh, she's ripping you up.
You're really loving this way too much, being honest.
I'm enjoying
Yeah,
this
I'm going to
too.
show up at your house every Monday night.
Well, Kevin, why don't you take us to the break?
All right, when we come back, we are going to hit the Brexit topic, which is going to be nice and juicy. I know Ben's got some little personal anecdote to go in with it, and yeah, let's do that. Let's go back and come back in 10 minutes.
We'll come back here in a few.
Yeah.
We actually have people popping in. By the way, Miss Dowdy is awesome. Coming in from Rob Weeks from the Firefly podcast.
Hell yeah.
Hillary double plus good, brother. And that movie sucked. The book was amazing. Shit, I'm that guy. So a lot going on.
I'm that guy too, buddy. Don't worry.
Samuel Lewis throws in, when you shoot, most of your bullets miss, so they're taught to shoot multiple times. So go on with that. We want to hear more from you. 559-492-0450, or you can Skype in Longbox.FM, all one word, and we'll be right back with the kick. No, you do it.
Coming back at you with the kick on Longbox.FM.
You're listening to The Kick on Longbox.FM.
Make YouTube your tube by searching out Longbox FM on YouTube.com. It's music, videos, and live webcasts. Watch it all at YouTube.com by searching out Longbox FM.
Back to the kick on Longbox.FM, brought to you by Riley's Brewing.
Yay! Thanks, Riley.
Thank you,
Thank
Riley's.
you very much, Mr. Dan.
If you haven't done so yet, please call in 559-492-0450. Hit us up on Skype, Longbox.FM, or tweet us, Longbox.FM, or chat us, Longbox.FM, or YouTube, search Longbox.FM, FMNMs. FNM&M's.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, Jesus, how many of those we got, man? That's brutal. All right, so Brexit, kind of a big thing going on in Europe there. Britain has voted to exit the European Union, and the vote passed, and they essentially voted their sovereignty back, so they get a Independence Day like the rest of us, one countries, all the rest that also wanted to vote independence away from Britain, so looks like they finally caught on to the trend. Good job, guys. It is a good thing. It is always a good thing when central planning breaks down and people go the opposite way. This is basically, Britain voted for the sovereignty, so they no longer are connected to the European Union, which is basically one massive centralized bureaucracy that dictated economic policy throughout the nations that were involved. I think there was 28 of them total. And if we remember from the first week's show, from my nice 7-minute long, destructive, boring ass textbook speak, we all understand how well central economic planning goes. It is shit. So Britain knew this, and they said, we're gonna leave. So good luck with the rest of that. The problem is the European Union isn't gonna shrink its size, so the other nations are gonna have to kind of float the bill. And Britain was one of the highest contributing paying guys because they make a lot of wealth there, and they decided to keep their own money. Good for them. A couple other countries have also kind of starting to get on board. I know that Dutch wants to leave now that Britain took off. The Czechs would also like to vote to leave. The French are talking about having a vote to leave as well.
Well, they'll follow anyone.
Of course. But what's beautiful is every time one of these countries leaves...
Wait, are they surrendering citizenship in the EU?
I think they are.
Surrendering...
I think they surrender being French when they join the EU. Now they just got an identity crisis on their hands.
Now they just smell. But the problem is every time one of these countries leaves the European Union, the rest of these countries, which are poorer, have to float this massive, massive bill to pay for the cost of operating this European Union, which has just been completely destructive all throughout Europe. Another big issue is the migration crisis they've been dealing with in the last year. They also wanted to stop importing people that came from a certain region, and kind of spiked a lot of statistics around the whole rape and violence area.
Racist.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. The statistics are racist too. They got a little tired of their no-go zones as well. Britain basically London had no-go zones where people who were British you just didn't go in that area,
right?
Because that's where people got raped and stabbed.
So you're saying that immigrants basically created like the south central of London?
Yes,
basically.
Except all over Europe.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know it's harsh to hear it too if you haven't done
Immigrants
any kind of
bad? Is that what you're saying right now?
Yes.
Specific ones, yes.
Yes.
Ones that are from third world countries, ones that have antithetical religious and political. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know it's so much
Ideologies.
Ideologies. Thank you.
I don't know if it's so much ideologies and where they came from, but the unwillingness to assimilate, I think, is the common
Certainly one of them.
denominator.
Certainly one of them.
I mean,
And-
those fighting the Borg.
exactly.
Just to tie into our
Resistance is
sponsor for
futile.
tonight.
But that makes us the Borg.
Thank you,
Let's not
Rihanna.
use that metaphor. Yeah, no, it's. I forgot. I lost my point here.
Sorry, man.
That's okay.
I think
Got all derailed. The Remain vote. There's been a tremendous amount of propaganda being pushed towards Britain remaining, and it's mostly entirely from the elitists who don't want to have to pay for their own shit anymore. They really don't like it when countries decide not to be controlled by third-party governments, and so there was a pretty big push on the other end. And wouldn't you know it, they're trying to have a second vote because the first one didn't go as planned.
It was a practice vote.
It was a practice vote. This democracy didn't count. It only counts when we win. So you can guarantee that there's going to be more pushes for more votes to have them remain again.
If I had it all to do again, I'd vote the other way. Well, guess what? You ain't got that goddamn chance no more. So.
Yeah. Everyone loves democracy until they lose.
And the elitists are only pissed off about this because now they have to pay double what they paid before for their champagne and their caviar because it's getting imported from other countries.
Yeah, and this definitely won't be the end to any kind of central banking control in Britain. The Rothschilds aren't going anywhere. So in the long scheme, it looks. I hope it turns out much better than what it very well could go back into, which is just more legislative, bureaucratic mess of jumbledness and destruction.
Here's the thing. Leaving the EU was, I think, for all intents and purposes, I think that saving their sovereignty was definitely a good thing. But I think from like an import-export standpoint, and I think from a financial standpoint, because what Britain now has to do is they basically are forced in the position of South Korea, where they talk about their trade agreements with the other countries, and how do you figure that out over 2 years? It took South Korea 10 years to basically work out all of their agreements with all these different countries as far as who's getting what, where's it going, and basically how much money is it going to cost everybody involved.
Well, they figured that shit out. They've already had people come out and say, actually it wasn't a really big deal. We still got the trades and so forth.
From an immigration standpoint, and definitely from a trade standpoint, I think it helps Britain in the sense of immigration exploded in that country. I mean, that country has seen
all of Europe.
Small numbers per day, but when you add them up, you're talking about a country that's got 67 million people. Now, take 500 per day, multiply that by 365 days, and you've got roughly 182,000 people who are flooding the country. And England is a very dense,
it's like 1.5 million.
Roughly right now, there's almost 200,000 per year. So you're talking about 200,000 per year, and where are these people going? They're coming into the major ports like London. They're coming into major areas like Manchester, Birmingham. I mean, some of the major cities. And you're flooding the economy with people, but you're not doing anything in the way of putting anything back to those people.
You're not flooding the economy. You're flooding the tax base that's paying for all these immigrants to live in their land. It would cost 13 times less to relocate Syrian immigrants into Saudi Arabia, where they already have tents set up for these people. They're air conditioned, like they're ready to go. It would cost 13.
Nobody lives there.
And nobody lives there, but they're set up and ready to go.
Why aren't they going to Saudi Arabia? Or
Because
the environs. Why?
Okay,
Their
I'm gonna
culture's
try to
the
nutshell.
same, the
Yes, this is
language.
exactly why it would have been a hell of a lot easier to have them relocate in their same
Why
area.
are they going to Europe? Why won't Saudi Arabia take
Because
them?
people who don't produce generally are going to vote to take the stuff of people that do produce. So when the European Union, which needs votes to survive, needs more votes, they open their borders and they say anybody who wants to come in. I don't actually say this is just what happened, but in a nutshell, if you come in, we're going to give you welfare, we're going to give you education, we're going to give you health
hold on. I've
healthcare.
heard this.
Nope, not done. In return, we're just going to ask that you vote to continue to receive all this shit for free. So there's your incentive. But go ahead.
I've seen this. This was in a movie called, what was it? The 5 Points. Leonardo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, The Dead Rabbits, all that.
Oh, Gangs of New York.
Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
Wasn't it getting the Irish off the boat? We'll bring you in, you get our vote, get my vote, all that stuff, meeting them at the boat. Isn't this also the same thing that California's been doing? We'll give you illegal immigrants. I'm sorry, undocumented illegals.
Mm-hmm.
No, undocumented. I don't know
doesn't
what
matter. You're a
sissy
racist anyway.
term we got to put on it. We'll allow you to come in. We'll get you the driver's license, even though you're fucking illegal.
Yeah.
No matter how you term it, you are illegal. We'll give you all of that, and then vote for the things that we want because you're the exact person.
Yeah.
It'd be
Well, you're
like
the
getting
victim, too.
16-year-old teenage girls to come into the Victoria's Secret. We're going to give you any of the bras and panties you want. All you got to do is click this button and that will allow you to come in. Well, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I want bras and panties. Cool.
Just click here, which is going to charge some old guy you don't know more taxes. Mm-hmm. So instead of paying 54% on his
Weird how
corporate tax,
it's-
he's paying 68.
All the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had my moment.
That's fun. Where were we?
But has anybody looked at the demographics of Europe and how that's going to change? Because
of the
traditional
immigrants?
Europeans are having 1.2 children,
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
and the immigrant populations are having
3 to
6
4 to
kids.
5 to 6. Yeah, well, they don't have to pay for them either.
So
Yeah,
you
because
give
they're
this
moving into that
50 to
country.
100 years, Europe's going to be Muslim.
Yeah.
It's the math.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
California is Mexican.
Well,
Did I
that's
just
not
say
so
that?
No,
I
terrible.
threw
it
that
is-
out there.
It is
That's
like
not
50.
so terrible.
No, it's like 51%.
No. I'm not saying it's
52%.
terrible. I'm saying mass immigration.
Yeah.
And it's not a knock on them. Mexican families have big families.
Yes.
They have a lot of kids. They don't crap out one and go, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
They keep that. That's their lifestyle. That's what they've grown up with. That's what they know.
Another thing
That
about
is what they know, yeah.
immigration, which you touched on exactly, was when people flood in, in hundreds of thousands a year, they don't assimilate. They'd have no reason and no chance to. When we were taking immigration basically from when we first landed up until about 1920s, 1930s, because we had taken in quite a bit, but we weren't at that point where normally, as you have today, the immigrants that go in, they basically take over a city or take over a town or something like that, and they don't take it over, but it's just a 90%. And
They live together because
They live
can
together
speak
because-
the language
absolutely.
with their neighbors. They're comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like the cafeteria. The black kids are over here. The white kids are over here.
it is exactly what you would
we sort
expect.
It
ourselves
is, because
out
it's-
into
it's-
like groups.
Because it's high school, right? I mean, it's the high
Yes.
school mentality of the cliques. And so you get in with the people you fit in with, and it's like, well, okay, so break it down in terms of Europe is a high school campus, right? So you've got all these kids kind of flock over to the amphitheater because they want to hang out over there. And then you've got all these other kids that flock to the cafeteria because they hang out there. You got the stoner kids who kind of hang out
I
behind
could see
the
this
science
going
board.
off on another tangent.
Right. However, leaving that alone for a second, you want to talk about a flock and a migration issue. My dad moved back to, and this was the personal point we were kind of alluding to, but my dad moved back to England a number of years ago, and because I'm originally born and raised there, but he moved back there because he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and he wanted to basically use the NHS to his advantage, which he has, because he would have racked up hundreds of thousands of dollars in bills since he was diagnosed in the mid-90s. I mean, the guy probably wouldn't be around with us today. I probably wouldn't have had a conversation with him in the recent days that I have. The point to this is he lives in a small town that's on the south coast of England, and It's probably within an hour and a half to 2 hour drive south of London. So he's right on the coast, and they have an influx of Syrians and Indians that have kind of moved into the southern coast, Bournemouth and Dorset and all these areas, right? And the thing is it just like when you will talk about the point of assimilation, right? When I come to your house, if you tell me to take off my shoes at the door, I'm going to take off my shoes at the door because it's your house and I'm going to respect your wishes and your rules, right?
Your property.
But they don't. They came into England and they basically, it's a little seaside town. It's like Pismo or something.
Yeah.
A little seaside town, and they come in. They don't respect the rules. They don't respect the people that have been there and have been working and have built that town up to what it's or to be what it is. They come in and they just completely take advantage of the situation. And the British government is allowing this for all of the points that we've touched on already, and it's atrocious because the British government is basically setting its own country up for fucking failure, and it pisses me off because why are we letting all these people in, right? So hell yeah.
Well, they didn't have a choice as part of the European Union. The European Union dictated you take this many a year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now
ugly names if we don't.
Exactly. We're racist and bigoted.
Or white privilege. Nobody
Islamophobic.
wants to be the bad guy is the thing. Nobody wants to be the bad
I don't
guy.
give a shit if a feminist or SJW thinks bad of me.
Okay.
That means I'm doing something very correct.
Kevin, let's make you the next Prime Minister of Britain then.
He's not ugly
I don't want to rule over anybody. I think Britain should continue to vote themselves out of more and more government.
But this to me, in all the conversations we had, this was the point of the show, right? We're at a low level in some respects. I mean, we have our own opinions and we have things that we want to get out there, right? But now put us in a position of power and say, look, now we've got to go deal with the crisis. Like if they say, hey, Kevin Spencer from Fresno, California, get out to Britain and go solve this problem. Go fix this right now. What are we going to do to fix this problem? Because Britain's hemorrhaging money. It's affecting the world. It's affecting the world's stock markets.
Apparently they're not, because apparently they were paying out, I don't know if the number's right, 320 million euros a year.
Pounds a week.
Pounds a week, according to them. And then they said that now that if we vote to go, that money is going to go into, and I don't remember what fund they said, but it was something better than
national. No. Specifically, they had a campaign, the Leave campaign. And I remember this because the Leave campaign had a specific advertising point that they said
on a bus.
on the side of a bus. It said, "We've been giving the European Union 350 million." Pounds a week to the European Union. Let's put that money into the NHS. Well, see, now we were just talking about this on the break. Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson are two of the big proponent fucking guys for the Leave campaign. Nigel Farage was just recently interviewed. I think it was like Thursday or Friday, right after the Brexit happened. He was just in.
I saw that.
He was just interviewed. He was just interviewed, and they asked him point blank. They said, "You know what? This whole thing with the 350 million a week, and is it coming back to the NHS? No, it's not." And Nigel Farage says, "No, it's not."
So wait a minute, they lied?
They lied.
They lied?
They lied.
You mean like the cost estimates on the high-speed rail?
Right. Right.
Oh my
Can we vote on that one again?
Right.
I want to mulligan.
There's no revote.
Sorry, Mama. There are no.
Wait.
Not this time.
Mom, where did you vote on that high-speed rail?
I voted against it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm pretty sure everybody did. I don't think anyone actually voted for it.
Except for the fact that it passed.
I've been on the high-speed rail in Europe. It is crammed full of people, and it doesn't support itself. So how the hell is the one here that will be mostly empty
Where were
ever
you
going to
last
support
week?
itself? Well, you didn't invite me last week.
Kevin, it's your show. You got to remember this.
That's right. That's right.
Mama Dowdy's going to have a spot.
By the way, if you have an opinion on this, call in 559-492-0450 or our Skype, Longbox.FM, all one word. You can also chat on the YouTube chat rooms. Kevin.
Debra, you said that you had a little bit of a hit yourself financially, or at least through the market.
Yes, I checked my accounts, my retirement accounts. I have some old 401s and a 403. Took a look at them today. The difference between last week, before the vote, and Friday night, I lost $12,000.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say what?
I hate England.
But isn't England and Greece
No,
and everything
it's
else
bigger than that? Yeah, I mean, clearly it's all in the market. And honestly, when it comes to the stock market, I am just a cog in the wheel. There are people making way more money off of my money than I am.
And a lot of that
That's
loss,
a whole other topic.
A lot of that fluctuation is speculation right now too, because there was a whole lot of fear mongering behind.
That's what
But it
market
dropped,
economics
it dropped
are, though.
more
I mean,
today.
it's just a speculation
That doesn't
against what
count
it is.
today's losses. That's
No.
the first 600 points that dropped. Now, the last I heard today was 290 something down, but I don't know what it was
Another
at close.
310.
310.
Does it
so
matter?
I probably lost another 6,000, just kind of doing the math. So I've lost $18,000 since Thursday.
unless you die or try to pull out of it now? Does it matter?
I still own my shares. So if it comes back,
But look at the
then I will grow again. Now, I won't do any growing in between. I won't be making as much money on the money I have now because the money I have now is a smaller pile. So 2008, when that all crashed, it took me 5 years to get back to where I was.
Yeah, it's about
During
right.
that 5 years, I didn't make the money on the money that wasn't there anymore, you know? And I'm getting too old. I got to hang on to my money now. I
Can
can't
you pass those
do all
shares
this.
to me, just out of curiosity?
See, unfortunately,
this is
Spend
educational.
every last dime before I die and leave you with my PG&E bill.
that's right. Unfortunately, the
Take
amount
that with you.
Leave that air conditioning on.
Yes.
the amount that you had before the crash wasn't really there to begin with. It was a reflection of the false
paper
value that was in the housing market.
By the way,
Fiat
can I just
currency,
say-
central bank,
From-
Federal
knows.
Reserve.
She
From the interwebs, somebody just said she lost my entire yearly income in less than a week.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, I've been saving this money for a long time.
But when you put it in
I'm
perspective,
not that rich, okay?
But when you put it in perspective, I mean, and I can respect somebody saying that, because when you put it in perspective, now you got to think, well, how much money is a local business? Say you're a British citizen. You're a
Let me take
chip
this
shop
one,
owner.
Ben. I've been unemployed for 6 weeks. I've been actually this whole weekend. The girlfriend and the roommate were gone, and the son was around here and there. I had no food. I did not eat. I gave the food
Been
to
a
my
while.
boy because I'm poor, and that's what I got to go with. This is my moment in what I have my nutshell. Her loss and what my mom here has lost because of this in a couple of days. It's all paper money. It's all on the internet. It's all
all
Kevin.
digital.
I know you have your own thing.
Yeah.
But again, to somebody like our internet listener here, Rob, who says you lost his yearly income in 1 week. I mean, that's a big number, and that should actually resonate to everyone around. Like, holy crap, that's huge. So for me, like, if I had like $8, hey mom, by the way, if I had $8 could have gotten bread.
Eat a sandwich.
But hell, you lost Rob's yearly income in this last week. That's
so this
huge.
is going to be easy to say because I didn't lose anything. But I would say,
Dick.
you can expect for it to come back. Because there's a wave that just took place out of the speculation, all the fear and everything. But once people realize, no, the world's not going to end. It's not Armageddon. People are going to start trading again. That value is going to find itself. It's going to regulate. It will. You're not going to be stuck unless the whole market comes crashing down like I've been preaching for years. And it didn't matter if you had $1 million in there or not.
And then I'm really going to be pissed off that
you
all
and
that
a lot of other
sacrifice
people are going to
and
be
all
really
that
mad.
savings.
Wait a
And I'm going to be
minute.
really happy that I have peanut
putting
butter
my
and water
money into
stored.
my 403 like everybody tells
What?
me I should, so I can cover my own retirement and not just live on Social Security.
If you want a
And
lunatic's
then
advice,
other people,
I would say take all
totally
that money
screw it
out,
up.
buy all the gold, water, and food, and guns and ammo you can. From there, you should be pretty safe.
Well, she's in California, so she's lost
Oh, man.
one.
Oh,
yeah.
step one, get the hell out of California.
Yeah.
Then do all those things. I said.
Montana's a great year-round place to be.
Yeah, any place with forests and snow that people have a hard time getting to you, that's a good place to go.
Also, Montana's really close to Canada.
It is.
Canadians
Let's
are
all
nice.
pool our money and buy a compound and.
No,
Where do you think I'm going
stop,
next year?
stop.
It's inevitable, man. I'm telling
We
you.
will all share our labors and
You could basically take the money you have left and just start a commune, Deborah.
I could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It would work perfectly.
By the way, we just
Buck and a
got
half.
lunatic, he says, and yet that's the best advice I've ever heard.
Don't say that. You're going to encourage me.
Stop. Yeah, stop. Just stop
He
hosting.
needs no more at this point.
No, what's funny is it's true though. If you give this advice to people, it's weird that we're in a time now where if you tell somebody, hey, you should have stored food and water, and you should have precious metals and something of intrinsic value, they look at you like you're insane.
Yeah.
Like you're absolutely out of your mind. Like, why would anybody ever have extra water? Like, are you nuts? We're in California. We're out of water. There's not going to be anything left.
That's part of it. Californians are wimps. I grew up in
gotta be it.
Nebraska.
Okay.
And, there's storms. There's blizzards. Yeah. You had to have some groceries in the basement. You had to have something put away because sometimes you couldn't get out of the house for a few days.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen around here, so nobody really prepares. I think it's just a function of the environment.
I got to be a fish out of water here. Fish out of no water.
That's okay. I got a little water at home too, and some toilet paper. If you get really desperate, I'll sell you toilet paper.
Again, where were you this weekend? I've had to clean my shirt so many times.
Across the street.
So just to kind of build really quickly off what Kevin was saying, because I wanted to actually look up the numbers, and it actually looks like right now the cost for 1 ounce of gold is roughly is at $1,316.67.
Damn, I bought euros instead of gold. I screwed up.
Oh. Well, if you talk to our Wednesday night co-host, Jason, he's all about the Bitcoin now.
Do me a favor, look up Bitcoin. Look up the value of Bitcoin. So $1,300 for an ounce of gold, which sounds like it's probably gone up quite a bit since this move.
It's an actual something you can hold versus...
Okay, but how does that work? Okay,
that's a whole show.
Zombie apocalypse happens.
Oh, you're fucked.
Electricity. The Chinese sent off a electronic pulse over the country.
You mean Yellow Dawn?
What am I thinking? EMP over the country. There's no electricity. People are dying.
So
left
we're back
and
to
right.
the Dark Ages.
I think
exactly.
digitally,
and I've got gold coins, and my gold coin is now worth $2,000. So I go down to the grocery store and I say, I want a loaf of bread. Can I get change for this? How does that work?
The grocery store won't exist. Number one. However, when you have gold, so gold is used as a backer of currency for a couple basic reasons. Number one, it doesn't corrode, and that's a really big one. An ounce of gold today is going to be an ounce of gold in 10,000 years, and it's been shown to be that. There's a finite amount, which is also another really big one, that it just can't be recreated, or counterfeited very easily. It's malleable. It could be melted down and changed. It could be coined. It could be a lot of things. So it's as a currency backer, it does very well. There are other intrinsic values to the metal. It conducts electricity really well, but that's not nearly the actual value. So a really good question is there won't be a store, but there'll be a farmer, and that farmer is going to have food. Right now, if your employer came up to you and said, hey, do you mind if I pay you in gold coin from now on? Would you accept it or would you deny it?
How far down the rabbit hole do we have to go
I'm going
for
to say,
that to happen?
because I got some money in the bank, so I could take gold. But if I was 30 years old and had 2 little kids and had to buy groceries, no, I'd have to take the paper money.
You'd have to, exactly.
Yep.
Paper money. The only reason you take paper money is because you have faith that other people are going to take the paper money.
It's entirely based on faith.
Exactly. Gold is the same way. You have to have faith that other people are going to take gold. Historically, gold has shown to beat out fiat currency 100% of the time. So taking the gold is you can, I can't imagine any time when somebody isn't going to take something with that kind of value as far as currency goes. But
I got it. Okay, first off, to lead into Ben, you have the price, the Bitcoin.
Oh, yes.
So Bitcoin, one Bitcoin equals $658.24.
Half the value
as of
gold.
Today.
It's like stock for.
What was it?
It depends on when. It's like stock. It's a weird thing. Again, my roommate has been all about it, and he says right now it's building up. It's on an upward trend for the last couple of weeks because they're about to half it. So instead of inflation, they do deflation. They cut the amount of currency in half or the value in half every so often.
Well, that sounds fishy.
Well, it's digital, and it's something that's hard to grasp, and I don't know it at all. We do have somebody, again, who said on the system, or on the YouTubes here, when the system fails, Bitcoin fails. Cryptocurrency is a valid method until the market is gone.
I was going to say, digitally, it works.
I'm thinking the TV show Revolution. Like, if we get to this point, electronics, all that's gone.
Yeah.
In my version of the apocalypse. Now, you're talking gold and stuff. To me, I think that gold is what ran the wild, wild west. When you're shitting out houses and your nightly adventure was to fuck a whore for a bit or something.
Certainly.
We've grown as a society to a different point that now I think, now go around the room. Kevin, your life is, what do you do?
Cabinetry.
Okay. Mom?
Nursing.
Okay. Ben?
Insurance.
You're fucked. I run an internet radio station. Damn.
You're even more.
Yeah, I think that the new currency has got to be barter through survival.
Absolutely. 100%.
Past the
I'm thinking,
unfortunate period
I
of
don't
time.
buy gold. I buy batteries, alcohol, penicillin,
Yeah, she
You're
buys
gonna
things
be
with
that
actual value.
female
gonna be-
sanitary products.
Yeah,
High value.
Yeah,
Yes.
you'll be the new pimp of the new world as everything falls down. But I don't think gold has that, except for the simple-minded people who think that some simple material is what is a currency for something. I think there's a trade in labor and value, and then you being a woodworker, you can make a chair.
See, the gold and cash and all. You can use anything for currency. Prison use cigarettes. You know what I mean? There's a value in the currency that either people want immediately, like to be able to smoke the cigarette, or be able to trade with it later, knowing other people are going to.
Oh, I know
accept
this
the
because
cigarette.
Mom, you know, when I was in county jail, I learned about people who can make toothbrushes. They give you a little finger one, but they can roll up something, and there was stock traded in different materials, like your lunches, the jellies, the mustard packets, all those things were traded for these different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, in any system, any kind of market can be created.
There's always going to be a market whenever two or more people interact with each other.
But I don't
it.
believe in your thing about the silver, the gold, and the precious metals, because what the
Well, no,
fuck am I going to do with it?
when shit collapses, you can't eat gold and silver, so that's not going to do you any good. Immediately, yes, it's going to become that barter system where basically whatever you can provide to survive, you're going to work with other people, negotiate. Sometimes you overprice yourself. Sometimes you come in shy or high or whatever. But eventually, that barter system is limited as people become more and more specialized, because if you only have chickens and I only have water, and you say, hey, I'll give you 30 chickens for a gallon of water, and I'm like, I don't need chickens, and that's it. So the gold and the gold itself starts as the tradable currency, but as it grows beyond, because there's a finite amount of gold and there's going to be more people entering the market just through birth and so forth as a country grows. So you have something to represent that gold, and in our case, it was a silver certificate or the original dollar bill. But the government can't print more money willy-nilly without having the gold to be able to back it up in its reserves. So the gold is the leash on the government being able to just throw out money to buy
if
for
everything goes to shit, because we've never been there. Gold and silver didn't matter until Wild Wild West times, early times. No, it didn't matter as a tradable currency in hand where everybody had a pocket full of silver.
Have you seen Robin
You go
Hood?
into the bar. Okay, it didn't happen. It hasn't happened for a long enough time to matter.
No, well, in Wild Wild West, we had dollar bills. We still had silver and we still had coin, but we were...
You see the movies, get me a shot of whiskey. Ding!
Yeah.
Yeah, that little...
But gold
that
silver,
that
gold
sound.
Silver. But gold and silver go back to medieval times. The thing is...
But we've evolved past that.
Yes, we have. But guess what? What we're going to do now is when... Here's the thing, and I kind of understand where you're coming from, because what we're looking at now is if paper money loses its value. If a printed piece of paper that says $1 or a printed piece of paper that says $20 loses its value, then gold concurrently loses its value. Because if $20 is no longer $20, then that little blurb about an ounce of gold being $1,300 doesn't matter anymore. Because once we lose the value of money, we lose the value of gold. Because gold no longer has a price.
And it's your breakdown. There is no value of money anymore. It's a value of survival after an unfortunate period of time where it's basically Walking Dead, but without actual zombies. It's meth heads and losers.
Yeah, it's people trying to regain stability is what it is.
Yeah.
Once the stability is regained, then the currency will be will be reinstated.
That's what you're talking about is survival in the interim and in the short term. Now you're talking about long-term growth back into an economic stability. But the thing is initially when this all happens, having a hoard of gold isn't going to help you out when the country or the globe crashes and all of a sudden that gold literally is worth nothing because there are no more world banks. There's no more world economy.
You're right, but if you're smart enough to have a hoard of gold before it happens, you have the food and the guns and the ammo and everything else. You're well thought out.
Okay, I get what he's saying.
Or you're wealthy enough to be set up for that.
What if gold goes the way of nickel, though? What if gold goes the way of iron? What if gold goes the way of so many other precious metals that just aren't worth as much as gold?
If a comet of solid gold crashes into the Earth and quadruple or quintuple, whatever, 100 times the amount of gold on the planet, that might happen. But
that would be the equivalent of the Federal Reserve digitizing money every day.
Yeah. The planet is made of iron. So there's no lack of iron. It would work as a precious metal, although it rusts and it dissipates. So actually, it wouldn't. Gold and silver again are one of these precious metals that don't degrade over time, so they're used as a backer of currency itself. I know what you mean, though.
But if I'm just saying intrinsically, it's going to lose its value. If paper money loses its value, if we have no system,
I don't think gold has ever lost its value. Like ever lost its actual...
Okay, well, the world has never seen a goddamn Armageddon-style event that just completely, in civilized and modern revolutionary times, in modern times, we haven't seen just a global economic collapse.
No, but you've seen very similar instances with Rome and the collapse of their society.
About in the last 200 years.
No, but they went through it's the same thing they went through, though. They collapsed and had to rebuild. And those with the gold,
them decades to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But their economies never actually got back up to the Roman Empire never actually got, when they collapsed, it never actually brought itself back up to the financial and fiscal
because
strength.
When they collapsed, they debased their currency over 99%. There was nothing left in their coins.
And that's what's going to happen, because when
that's
we lose the value...
that's the fiat currency.
We lose our value on paper money, and so if we base the price of gold and the worth of gold on the paper money that's going to lose its value anyway...
No, it's an inverse relationship. As the money value goes down, the gold value goes up. It's an inverse relationship at this point. See, right now it costs $1,300 worth of Federal Reserve notes to buy gold.
Sure.
If that price goes up next year and it's $1,600, it's still technically $1,200 of $2016. But the inflation is going to require that extra $300 to cover that cost.
I get what you're saying, but if the world's economy collapses and there's no more way to value money on any single level anymore, then you just got an ounce of gold that you bought for $1,300.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Ben.
Give it to me. I'd say wait 2 years or give it to me if you don't want it.
Might buy you a chicken if you're a bad negotiator.
I'd rather
have really
hold on. Okay.
Damn ranch.
When we talk about economy crashing to the point, because it's not, right, Kevin? The economy is not going to. Well, I just pointed at the wrong person.
What are you looking at?
The economy is not going to crash because the economy and the world will not allow it to crash. It's full of shit.
There's a sentence.
They know how to balance it and put until those old white guys who run the Federal Reserve die, and they have no heirs to give it to. It's not going to die. They'll always find a way to pull a string to make something happen, to make everything that's going on right now that we all love viable, whether it's money or a Kardashian or teen moms.
Expand the empire to protect the status quo. How do you think Rome fell?
Oh, yeah. There is a bubble
doing
burst.
The exact same thing Rome did, almost on the identical timeline.
But we have technological advances.
Doesn't mean shit.
We have not. There's enough. It's not. We're not going to just all of a sudden. Dark Age.
Oh my goodness.
Not so much that. It will be painful for a lot of people because those people weren't the people who were specially selected to survive it, or those who were like you, who are ready to just hoard up, shoot arrows, fire people, put people on fire, do whatever you can to get yours because you have a true survival instinct. I don't think we go Dark Age. But I do think there becomes a human nature aspect of, like, we want to be good.
I'll tell you this.
Drama-filled dumbasses dead, and now what's your skill? What's your art? Your economy is now, it's going to be based on, we have gold, but I don't give a shit about gold. I need a new table. I need a new chair.
Yeah, your value is going to be based on your skill, which is exactly what it's based on now.
Which is now, my value is based on my skill, supposedly, and then I get paper money for it, which works now because people, as Mom, you said, that's a faith. Everybody has that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we went off the gold standard in the 70s or in the 60s. 64, I believe. 65.
When did it all start? 2000 or 1910? Social
Federal Reserve
Security.
started in
Was it
1913.
Nixon who took us off the gold standard?
Yeah, 1964. I know all the coin. The last year the
You voted
coins hold
for it.
silver.
No, that Nixon was later.
Social
than
Security, that was FDR.
72.
Social Security
I'll tell you
was
this.
FDR, so that was 43?
FDR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
well done.
right at the beginning of World War II.
Oh, there's a Ponzi scheme for you.
Yeah. Dowdy, I'll say this. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but the crash not happening, as you stated, is incorrect. It is a mathematical inevitability that it's going to happen. This was set into place in 1913 with the Federal Reserve. When they print our money, when they have us borrow against them for our own money, $100, we owe them $110 on interest. There's not that extra $10 in circulation to pay for.
I'd
We
like
must
to say
borrow more.
the cynic inside of me, but
I
I
know.
know that phrase right there, it
hurts.
Yeah, it's like saying the straight male inside of me, like I'm affecting you.
Yeah.
They're not going to let it fail. They can't because there's
No,
a
it's
brood,
designed-
there's a bloodline,
No.
there's people who are set
Dowdy,
in place
Dowdy,
to succeed.
The system exists to suck the wealth out of a nation until it's
Yeah.
destroyed.
Yeah,
That's it.
but Kevin, I've set up a whole world where we are going to benefit and get everything we can.
I know.
Unfortunately, you're my child, my progeny.
Yeah.
And understand that it's been designed that it's going to fail miserably in your time, and you'll probably be assassinated or killed.
That's my plan.
Yeah. So is that cool? Can you handle that when you run with it? And then there'll be a bounce back. That's not going to happen. As families, as that all builds, those people at the very top, they're not going to let their thing go unless it's a bunch of neutered old white dudes who just let it all fail, and they go, well, as we die, this whole world dies, and who cares? Because we gone.
More or less.
Fuck it, taking all of you with me.
Yeah.
They have the Rothschilds. You have the all those. They still have family that keeps going and running.
Yeah.
They're always going to find a way to balance.
Yeah.
Every generation finds a way. Even a Kardashian. You got Robert who found his way into glory with OJ, and then now his daughters have found a way to put their vaginas out there on the internet to find their way to glory.
Mm-hmm. Except
It's always going to happen.
Yeah, it can all crash and fall apart. The Great Depression was soup lines, kitchens, people without work.
Tent cities.
Venezuelans
Parents had
are
to move
eating.
in with their children.
Nope. This cannot
That's
happen.
gonna happen this time.
You're sharing a room with Slot.
Bad. He's right. We're running out of room to wiggle. They've been able to print money for a long time.
Yep.
In order to do whatever they wanted to do. And they just go and supposedly borrow money where none exists. They can put it in a bank and loan it out multiple times. You guys want to get scared? Read The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Oh, goodness.
Okay?
Oh,
It's
goodness.
not,
I like your mom.
it's a horror book, but it's not what you think.
Yeah, it's horror because it's true.
It's because it's
That's the
true.
worst part of it,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And we're running out of time and space. And at some point, that's all going to fall apart. And it's going to be extraordinarily painful.
Your son is $70,000 in debt to the federal government.
What?
You yourself?
Desmond, my grandbaby.
Yeah, I think you yourself owe about $80,000 this year for all the benefits that you receive from the federal government. Everything that they bestow upon you
Shit, I
because
gotta
they're
get a
so
job.
benevolent, because they're such wonderful,
The
graceful
politicians
creatures.
cannot tax us to pay for everything that they want to do.
Exactly.
So they print the money. They quote unquote borrow non-existent money from the Federal Reserve, which is a quasi-private organization who creates money out of thin air. I know this doesn't make any sense. It's very difficult to comprehend. I still don't understand how banks can loan out money multiple times. I don't understand that. And I don't mean one after another. I mean all at once. They can loan the same dollar out multiple times. I don't understand it, but they do it. And like I said
Fractional
earlier,
reserve banking.
we are
You're so
cogs
happy
in
right now.
the
Yeah.
wheels. I've been very careful, worked very hard my whole life, saved a long time, and it could all go away overnight.
Just from
And
digital,
all of a sudden, I think
Gone.
I own 3 houses. I own 3 houses, free and clear. And I'm thinking, okay, boy, this is going to be great because I got a place to live. I can live in my house for $285 a month. Okay, that's my taxes and my insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you throw in some maintenance. All right, my house is in pretty good shape. We fixed it up. It's in good shape. Going to last us till we die. This is the whole goal now. Have everything last till we die. Okay. So, and then I've got these other 2 houses, and it's like, okay, I can get rent on those houses. That'll buy everything else I need. I've got Social Security. I've got my retirement accounts. My car is paid for.
Right.
I don't owe anybody anything, and I'm still scared to death.
Yeah.
Because if I can't find people who can pay the rent on those houses,
Exactly.
how am I going to keep them up? How am I going to keep squatters from moving in and destroying that? If everything goes ugly, I don't have enough kids to move into those houses to take care of them for me.
Should have been Mexican.
Right. So you sell the houses and get down
I'll
to
auction off options.
You should have been even more pro-life,
the market, the stocks and bonds. I'm sorry, guys. It is a huge scheme. Go sit and watch the movie The Big Short. Pay attention.
Or 401ks.
It's homework. It's not entertainment.
I heard
all of that could disappear.
Yeah,
And
1984
so,
is
if I'm
a
30,
manual, not
and I've got
a story.
$50,000 in college loans to pay off, not a chance in hell of ever buying a house, 2 kids to raise, 2 car payments. I don't know how you guys sleep at night. I don't.
From the internet, real quick, just to come back again. Rob should just be here. He said the Social Security Act was signed by FDR on August 14th, 1935.
Thank you,
He
Rob.
said on August 15th, 1971, the U.S. would no longer officially trade dollars for gold.
Thank you, Rob.
And then
Damn,
he said,
this guy's nice.
Bilderberg will keep us safe from the shadows.
Thanks, Bilderberg.
And that's okay.
Man, so once
Toast to
again,
that.
I'm disappointed because I got to go again. I hate working early mornings. But Ben, Debra, Dowdy, thank you very much
This was
for
fun.
joining us. This is good times right here.
Is that a good leaving off point there?
Yeah, I think. Well, obviously, this show is not a show that is going to just end on a Harry Potter died. It's over.
Yeah, exactly. Voldemort was.
Which, by the way, I haven't
Heisenberg.
seen the movies, and
He dies.
I'm gonna start watching them finally because my son's gonna go to the thing, and then
Everyone
someone told
dies.
me Harry Potter dies. So, god damn it!
Yeah.
How is it your son is as old as he is and you haven't watched the Harry Potters?
Dumbledore
I hate-
dies
no.
in real life and in the movie later on. Voldemort dies.
So,
Snake die.
Kevin, finish us off.
Oh, man. An outro, you say? Well, folks, I want to thank you one more time for joining us on The Kick here on Longbox.FM, brought to you by Riley's Brewery. Thank you, Riley's. Anytime, call us, 559-492-0550.
Yeah, you'll work on that.
I'm going to work on it. Go ahead, Dowdy. Take it away from here.
Well, it's been The Kick here on Longbox.FM, brought to you by Riley's Brewing, and of course, the Dead Society coming to you. Get your gold now, unless you have an actual skill, and we'll be back next week with more of the same.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And for now, me saying for Kevin, hope you wake up. This has been The Kick.
Wake up. Wake up.
Wake up.
That's very much what I like right there. That show is excellent.
Oh my god, I know you have a hard on right now. I mean, my mom's
Didn't even have to
Your
be
penis
easy.
is hard. No, just go here.
I'm a nurse. I know what that means.
Can't scare her.
I need to get a picture with everyone, and then we can bounce.
Debra, I did want to ask, you said you do floral arrangements, or Dowdy said that you do floral arrangements, wedding floral arrangements?
Oh, yeah, he wishes to do well. I don't know that that's really an accurate description.
Oh. He might have oversold you a
I
little
can
bit.
casually arrange flowers. But,
Well,
for my daughter's wedding, we bought flowers from Costco with a pre-order. You can go into Costco and say, I want, 100 white roses or whatever the hell you want. And a florist friend of hers came in, and we ladies all sat around the table and made bouquets.
I do like that logo, though.
The little
The new one? It's pretty
Yeah,
modern.
bouquet and
bouquets
everything,
for
yeah.
for the ladies, and then the bridal bouquet, and we made a couple table arrangements and so on. But
yeah.
I don't know that. I'm not a professional flower arranger, but I can do the basics.
Well, we're were in the market for our wedding coming up in March. And I know she's floated around a few different spots trying to find different pricing. I don't know what she's got so far. I think so far she hasn't liked the price.
Yeah, it's not cheap, and it depends on what you want to do and what flowers you want to buy and that kind of stuff. And my daughter was very, very much working on her budget, so that's we bought.
Mind if
we
keep
went
in the loop?
into you can buy March. There's probably not much moving in March, so that doesn't help as far as I don't know if you have a lot of.
Just set that there.
Ants and so on who have gardens that have something growing that you can turn into things as opposed to buying all your flowers. But probably your best bet is to put an order in with Costco for what you want. So we got a great big bunch of baby's breath, which is just the little tiny white things you use for filler.
Filler, basically.
And you buy some floral wire. You buy some of the green wrap tape for things. It depends on what she wants to do as far as a bridal bouquet and stuff. They make little holders that you put everything into, and then you just pull out the holders, you walk down the aisle. For the bridesmaids and stuff, we just had groups of roses we put together and did ribbon around them, long tangly ribbons, and it was just a clutch of a bouquet that way.
Yeah.
So it just, she would have to kind of see what she wants.
Babe!
And we'll see if we can help her. But if she wants professional bridal bouquets and stuff,
no, not necessarily.
Come down a little bit.
She just wants bridal bouquets, and the only ones available are the professional ones that want to go over the top.
Yes.
Oh my God, Mom, stop selling your flower arrangements. Ben, get in here. We gotta do a photo.
And I gotta go work later.
Yeah, I hate you for this.
Are you working for a company now then?
Yeah, there's a Cabinet Connection out in Clovis and Shields area. They do like kitchen craft. Modular. But I still do.
You were in business for yourself.
I do that too. Yeah.
1, 2, smile.
Thanks, man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I do that 9 to 5, and then still do side work out of my own shop. I do right now. I've been doing a lot of stuff for the guy that owns broilers.
Oh.
The shawarma or the
What?
Love it.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Really?
Yeah.
Bring the poor boy a couple
No.
over there tonight.
Advertising?
Oh, that's right.
How easy would it be for them to put together a meal for a night to be on the show and all that?
Yeah, definitely.
God damn it, dude.